It's January 1975. Picture it. Phoenix, Arizona. A family of 7. One trailer. And enough testosterone packed into that aluminum rectangle to power a small city. Hello and welcome to Smith History, separating the Smith from the myth. I'm your host, Brian Smith. In 1975, my dad was 43. Mom was 39. I just turned 17. My brother, Jeff, 15. Rick and Randy were 12. And Kyle, the youngest Smith, was 3 years old and always wisely removed from the premises whenever possible. Just a couple of years earlier, we had left the familiar comfort of Ohio. The stable jobs, solid schools, and a real house for the promise of sunshine and opportunity in Phoenix, Arizona. It turns out Phoenix had plenty of sunshine and very little opportunity for a Midwestern man trained at Marion Power Shovel. But Dad wanted family time with his brother Dallas. What he got instead was long stretches of uncertainty, sporadic work, and far less time with the family he had brought west in the first place. Dad wanted more time with his brother Dallas, but also what he got was less time with his 5 sons, who were now crammed into a trailer park far from anything resembling a safe neighborhood. We didn't mingle with the trailer park locals. We didn't roam the neighborhood. It was too rough. We didn't even have enough space to roam inside. We 5 growing boys were marooned in a trailer park, far from the safe neighborhoods, lost in space, and far from sanity. We did have a community swimming pool in the trailer park, but in January of 1975, only one Smith brother was brave and smart enough to swim. That would be me. The other brothers were not ready to risk drowning with me around. By then, I was developing a reputation as the family agitator, and they were not about to take any risk in a 10-foot swimming pool. But that is another Smith episode. This one begins the moment Mom and Dad made one of their best parenting decisions ever. They went shopping and took Kyle with them. Apparently, they did not trust 4 adolescent boys alone with a toddler, and history suggests that assessment was spot on. So there we were, 4 brothers, home alone. Although this one doesn't quite end as the holiday classic does. And as the saying goes, when the cat's away, the mice will play. They will also fight. My reputation as the family agitator was a title I wore with pride, and my brothers wore with bruises. Inside the trailer, the tension simmered like a pot of beans on low heat. Dad had even taken to locking the food cupboard at night to keep me from raiding it. I was known to eat cereal right out of a mixing bowl, which my brothers claimed explained why I shot up to 6'3", while they all hovered around 5 feet tall. They weren't wrong. The 3 middle brothers were jammed into one bedroom like a concentration camp bunkhouse, while I had my own private room. A fact that probably still stings 51 years later. But to them, the trade-off was worth it. Better to be cramped together than share a room with a giant who ate like a lion and slept like a dragon, guarding his treasure. On this particular January day, Mom and Dad left with the toddler Kyle. With the parents gone, the 4 older brothers we were left to our own devices. It started off with a disagreement. The cause has been lost to history. It was 51 years ago. It was probably something profound like who breathed wrong or who touched whose sock. But whatever it was, I was apparently using my superior strength, height, and intellect to knock Jeff around. Rick and Randy had seen this scene play out many times before. Me at 6'3", about 170 pounds. Jeff, at that time, only 5'3", 150 pounds. Only a year and a half between us, but physically, it looked like a high school senior wrestling a kindergartner. By this time, something snapped in little Ricky. All 5 foot tall and 100 pounds, soaking wet. But he was full of righteous fury. Years of watching Jeff get pummeled had built up inside him like a pressure cooker. As I held Jeff, probably in a chokehold, Rick snuck up behind me and then, suddenly, maliciously, hit me in the back of the neck. This was the equivalent of slapping a bull on the hindquarters and then sprinting for the nearest tornado shelter. Rick and Randy bolted into their bedroom bathroom and slammed the door. I came after them with vengeance. Rick had snapped, and now he and Randy, as the accomplice, were going to pay the price. What happened next was eerily similar to the famous scene from The Shining. Picture Jack Nicholson hacking through the door. It was eerily similar, only louder. My yelling and Rick and Randy's screaming. Now replace the axe with my fists. Replaced Shelley Duvall with 2 screaming 12-year-old twins. I pounded on that bathroom door like I was auditioning for a demolition crew. Rick and Randy shrieked like they were being chased by a mountain lion. Jeff, well, he laid on the floor playing possum, or possibly knocked out. It was hard to say. After a few moments of pounding, the rage drained out of me. The moment had passed. I had decided to let them live. I retreated to my private room, the Switzerland of the trailer, and waited for Mom and Dad to return, leaving behind a scene that looked like a low-budget horror film shot on location in a single wide shot. Half a century has passed. Perspective changes with time. Looking back now, 51 years later, chalk it up to boredom, cramped quarters, stress, and 4 restless boys in a too hot and too small trailer in the desert. The chaos was the result of 4 boys trapped in a metal box with no supervision. Each brother probably remembers it differently. I would like to think I helped toughen them up for a brutal world. After all, competition builds character, or at least good stories. The Smith is, every time I watch The Shining, my mind goes back to Jack Nicholson and the axe scene. The myth is, that was the day my brother Rick decided to smack the bull. And that, my friends, concludes this episode of Smith History, separating the Smith from the myth. Because the myth says I was a terror. The myth says I was a tyrant. The myth says I nearly broke down a bathroom door to get to my brothers. But the truth, the Smith of it all, is that I only pounded hard enough to make a point, and I let them live to tell the tale. I'm your host, Brian Smith. 4 brothers, 1 bathroom door, and a Smith family legend born.